Today we are diving into the world of gardening with a focus on tomatoes. Gardening can be a rewarding hobby, especially when you see the fruits of your labor quite literally ripe for the picking. Today, we'll be sharing 5 expert tips on how to grow your own tomatoes at home. We'll guide you through the process, from choosing your tomato type, planting your seeds, caring for your seedlings, all the way to enjoying your first homegrown tomato harvest. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or a green thumb in the making, these tips will help you cultivate your own patch of tomato heaven. So let's get started and uncover the secrets to growing your own juicy, delicious tomatoes. The first tip is about making a choice between bush or cordon tomatoes. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's the difference? Let me enlighten you. Bush tomatoes, also known as determinate tomatoes, are compact, require less staking and support, and tend to ripen all at once, making them perfect for those who prefer a big harvest in one go. They're also ideal for container gardening or if you're limited on space. On the other hand, we have cordon tomatoes, or indeterminate tomatoes. These are the vine type that keep growing and producing fruit until the first frost hits. They need a bit more attention with regular pruning and support, but the payoff is a prolonged harvest period with fresh tomatoes throughout the summer and into early autumn. So why is this choice important? It's all about understanding what you want from your tomato plant. If you're after a large single harvest, perhaps for canning or tomato sauce, bush tomatoes could be your best bet. But if you love the idea of plucking fresh tomatoes from the vine over several months, then cordon tomatoes might be the way to go. Remember, no choice is wrong here. It's all about what works best for you, your garden space, and your tomato needs. So take a moment, consider your options, and make a choice that suits your gardening style and goals. Now that you've decided on the type of tomatoes, it's time to move on to the next step. Our second tip centers on growing tomatoes from seeds. Growing tomatoes from seeds might seem intimidating, but it's actually quite a simple and rewarding process. It all begins with the right timing. While you can start seeds indoors at any time of the year, the best time to sow is about 6 to 8 weeks before the last expected frost in your area. This timing gives your tomato plants a head start, allowing them to mature and produce fruit in the warmth of summer. Now, let's dive into the planting process. Start with a seed tray or small pots filled with a seed compost, a nutrient-rich soil designed to give your seeds the best possible start. Make small holes about 1/4 inch deep and drop in a couple of tomato seeds. Cover them gently with compost, water lightly, and then place the tray or pots in a warm, sunny spot. The top of a fridge or a windowsill are great places as they provide consistent warmth. The magic of germination requires 3 things: warmth, moisture, and light. Keep the compost consistently moist but not waterlogged. A good rule of thumb is to water little and often. The seeds need warmth to germinate, so aim to maintain a temperature around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the seedlings appear, they'll need plenty of light to grow strong and healthy. If you're growing indoors and don't have a sunny window, consider using a grow light. In about 1 to 2 weeks, you should see your little seedlings sprouting. These baby plants are delicate, so handle them with care. At this stage, they're not quite ready for the great outdoors. They'll need to grow a bit stronger and the weather a bit warmer before they can be transplanted into your garden or a larger pot. Growing tomatoes from seeds gives you a wider variety of tomato types to choose from, and there's something incredibly satisfying about watching a tiny seed transform into a plant laden with delicious, juicy tomatoes. Once your seeds are planted, you'll soon see the fruits of your labor, quite literally. Moving on to our third tip, we focus on caring for your newly sprouted seedlings. These tiny green shoots are the first signs of your future tomato bounty, and they need your careful attention to grow into strong, productive plants. After a couple of weeks, your seedlings will be ready to be rehomed. If you've sown your seeds in a tray, it's time to pot them on or move them into larger pots. This process, known as pricking out, gives them the space they need to develop their roots and grow larger. Be gentle when handling the seedlings, and aim to keep as much of the original soil around the roots as possible to minimize stress. The amount of sunlight your seedlings receive is crucial. Tomatoes are sun lovers and need at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight each day. Make sure they're in a sunny spot, but also be mindful of the temperature. While they love the sun, they don't thrive in extreme heat. A steady temperature around 70 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. Watering is another critical aspect of seedling care. Tomato seedlings need consistent moisture. Water them thoroughly but avoid soggy soil. Overwatering can lead to problems like root rot and fungal diseases. A good rule of thumb is to water when the top inch of soil feels dry to the touch. Feeding your seedlings is also important. Start feeding them with a diluted solution of water-soluble tomato fertilizer once they have their first set of true leaves. These are the second pair of leaves that appear, not the first pair, which are called the seed leaves. Remember, your seedlings are delicate and they need your care and attention. Keep a close eye on them and respond quickly to any signs of trouble. Yellowing leaves, for example, could indicate a nutrient deficiency or overwatering. In terms of pest control, it's always better to prevent than to cure. Keep your growing area clean and free from debris that could harbor pests or diseases. If you do notice any pests, remove them manually or use an organic pesticide. Caring for seedlings might seem like a lot of work, but it's all part of the rewarding process of growing your own tomatoes. With proper care, your seedlings will soon grow into healthy, robust tomato plants. Our fourth tip is about nurturing your seedlings into fully grown tomato plants. This is a crucial stage in the tomato growing process, where your tiny seedlings will transition into mature plants, ready to bear fruit. During this stage, the growth of your tomato plants can be quite rapid, and they'll need all the support they can get. It's important to provide a steady supply of water, but be careful not to overwater, as this can lead to root rot and other diseases. A rule of thumb is to water deeply but infrequently, allowing the soil to dry out in between. Feeding your growing plants is another key aspect of this stage. When your seedlings have developed their first true leaves, it's time to start feeding them. Use a water-soluble, balanced plant food to provide the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. It's best to follow the instructions on the package for how much to use and how often to feed your plants. Sunlight is also vital for your tomato plants. They need a good 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day. This helps them to photosynthesize effectively, which in turn fuels their growth. If you're growing your tomatoes indoors, you might need to use grow lights to supplement natural light. Another aspect to consider is the support. As your plants grow, they will start to get heavy with fruit. To prevent them from toppling over, it's a good idea to stake or cage your tomatoes. This gives them something to lean on as they grow, keeping them upright and making it easier for you to harvest the tomatoes later on. It might seem like your plants are taking forever to grow, but remember, good things come to those who wait. Keep an eye on your plants, make sure they have what they need, and before you know it, you'll see them starting to blossom. With patience and care, your seedlings will soon become strong tomato plants ready to bear fruit. Our final tip covers the flowering and fruiting stage of your tomato plants. This is a particularly exciting time in the life cycle of your tomato plants, as you'll start to see the fruits of your labor, quite literally. The flowering stage is a crucial period in the development of your tomatoes. It's during this time that your plants will begin to produce the blossoms that will eventually become your tomatoes. But it's not just a waiting game. There are specific actions to take to ensure a successful fruiting. Firstly, it's important to know that your tomato plants will need a little extra care during the flowering stage. This means keeping a keen eye on them, ensuring they have plenty of sunlight, and continuing to water them regularly. But perhaps the most important task during this stage is feeding your plants. You see, once your plants have flowered, they'll start to fruit. This is a crucial time for them to be fed. Feeding your plants will provide them with the nutrients they need to produce healthy, vibrant tomatoes. You might be wondering what to feed your plants. Well, a high-quality tomato feed, which is rich in potassium, will do the trick. Potassium is key as it helps with fruit formation and improves the flavor of the tomatoes. Apply the feed according to the package instructions, usually every 2 weeks, to give your plants the best chance of producing a good crop. Remember, tomato plants take their time to fruit, but the wait is certainly worth it when you get to enjoy juicy, homegrown tomatoes. With these tips, your plants should be well on their way to producing vibrant, juicy tomatoes. That wraps up our 5 expert tips for growing your own tomatoes. We've walked through the journey from choosing your tomato type, be it bush or cordon, to the rewarding stage of flowering and fruiting. Each step is crucial, from planting your seeds at the right time to nurturing your seedlings into full-fledged tomato plants. Remember, patience is key. It might take a couple of weeks for your seedlings to emerge, but the wait will be worth it when you see the first signs of growth. And don't forget the importance of feeding your plants once they start to flower and fruit. That's when they need the most nutrients to produce those juicy, delicious tomatoes. Thank you for joining us today. We hope these tips help you on your journey to growing your own delicious tomatoes. Until next time, happy gardening!